Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And there is so much to talk about here. The Niners made more roster moves prior to hitting the practice field today. We have some Niners injury news as well on Brandon Aiyuk, Jauan Jennings, and Mykel Williams. And we have a Niners-Broncos joint practice reaction. That practice just wrapped up, and there's a lot that transpired in the shadows of Levi Stadium at the SAP Performance Facility. Let's begin here with getting to these Niners roster moves. San Francisco today signing defensive tackle Mykel Dwumfour to a one-year contract. The corresponding roster move for the Niners, releasing former first-round pick cornerback Eli Apple. He was selected by the Giants a few years ago out of Ohio State, and he has played for several teams in his NFL career. The Niners had brought Apple in after they had some injuries to that cornerback position, most notably at that time to Deommodore Lenoir and Renardo Green, but then the Niners suffered some injuries along the defensive line in that interior group, and so they have added Mykel Dwumfour, and we had a feeling that this was coming because San Francisco yesterday on Wednesday, August 6th, had worked out multiple defensive tackles. They have obviously settled here on Dwumfour. More on the player, he is a smaller defensive tackle who relies on a good technique and a fast get-off once the ball is snapped to win from that defensive tackle position. He's only 6'1", 296 pounds. When he was in high school, a very highly touted recruit. He began his college career at Michigan. Then he transferred to Rutgers. He was undrafted following the 2021 NFL draft. He was able to sign as a UDFA, popping around with multiple teams from that point up until now. He's been with 6 different teams since he was at 2021 UDFA. He was with the Niners back in 2022. His career numbers, 13 tackles and a half sack. Of note here, I think a big reason why San Francisco made this move, Kevin Givens out for a while due to a pec injury. That is an injury that he did not tear, but it could linger into the regular season. And then Sam Okuwanu, who kind of plays that hybrid defensive end, defensive tackle role for the Niners, he's out for a couple of weeks because of a groin injury. And so the numbers are a little bit light along the interior defensive line for San Francisco, which is why they made this move. Topic number 2, we have some Niners injury updates on wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk and wide receiver Jauan Jennings. Niners general manager John Lynch was on KNBR this morning, and he shed some insight as to what's going on with both Aiyuk and Jennings, the top 2 wide receivers on this ball club, although Ricky Pearsall is challenging at least Jennings to be the number 2 on this team. John Lynch saying this morning that it is doubtful that BA will be ready for week 1 on the road against the Seattle Seahawks, and that's coming up in about a month, quickly approaching here. Aiyuk, of course, tearing his ACL, MCL, and had other structural damage in his knee on October 20th against the Kansas City Chiefs in that Super Bowl 58 rematch. That game ended up being a disaster for the Niners on the scoreboard, but also for BA, just weeks after signing that lofty contract extension worth $30 million per year. And so with this news being relayed to us by Lynch, I think that Aiyuk, and I've continued to say this for months, is a candidate to start the year on PUP. As for Jauan Jennings, this isn't promising. No timetable for his return. Lynch sharing that JJ is working with the Niners medical staff, and this is a little bit of a concern too because Jennings re-injured the calf that he hurt in the spring during mandatory minicamp. And these calf injuries, they can linger and not go away. They are a very tricky soft tissue injury, especially with a muscle like a calf, which you rely on to be very twitchy with that muscle. And obviously, it directly correlates to the Achilles tendon as well. And so with BA out, no timetable for his return, no timetable to return for Jauan Jennings. For the other 49er wide receivers in camp, what an opportunity to earn some playing time, to earn your keep, to earn a roster spot, to earn targets, and to earn ample opportunities throughout camp, the preseason, which can then trickle into the regular season. And as I mentioned off the rip, we're about to do our Niners-Broncos joint practice reaction. And one of the takeaways from prior to practice getting underway, you see the two teams here. The Denver Broncos here, the 49ers back there toward that Niners logo and the SAP logo as well, right in the shadows of Levi Stadium. The Broncos prior to practice today were actively stretching. The San Francisco 49ers were not. I just don't understand this approach from this medical staff and this medical training department when you've had so many injuries under head coach Kyle Shanahan since he took over in 2017. The Niners are top 10 in injury rate every single year since Shanahan became the head coach in 2017. And we're not doing minor things, smart things like stretching. It's an idiotic approach. You don't believe me? Look at the Niners player health by year. In 2024, they were the number one most injured team in the NFL. Now, in 2023, that was the only year where the Niners were able to stay healthy under Shanahan. And look, they play a physical brand of football, outside zone scheme, very downhill. Kyle Shanahan might be young, but he's an old school football guy coming up under Mike Shanahan. And given that the Niners have that rugged playing style, there are going to be a lot of injuries, right? But you have to try to figure out ways to get to the root cause behind why you're suffering from all of these injuries and why you're top 10 in injury rate every single year but 2023. And do little things like, I don't know, stretching prior to a joint practice when you're doing 1-on-1s, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, and the intensity is getting ratcheted up. Now, in 2023, the Niners actually stayed healthy. They were the 29th most injured team, and what happened? They made it to the Super Bowl. They were a few plays away from winning that game in overtime, and they should have won. But 2024, number one most injured team in football. 2022, number 9. 2021, number 3. 2020, after they made it to the Super Bowl in 2019, number one most injured team in football. 2019, number 6 most injured team in football. 2018, fourth most injured team in football. In 2017, they were also top 10 in injury rate. I just don't get what the Niners are thinking here, not doing minor things that are intelligent and smart for the evolution of the human damn body by just stretching prior to these practices. Now, as for our Niners-Broncos joint practice reaction, San Francisco and Denver meeting up today outside of Levi Stadium in the lead-up to Saturday's preseason opener. It was a beautiful day in Santa Clara, bright blue skies. Temperature was perfect for some football. Nick Bosa returning to practice today after not having practiced since, I believe, Friday. And, of course, when you're going up against the Denver Broncos, a lot of familiar faces on that club and on that other sideline. Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, both signing with Denver this offseason in free agency. DJ Jones just signed his second contract with Denver after he left the Niners after the 2021 season. He ended up being a great developmental player for the Niners, just like Greenlaw and Hufanga were as late-round picks. Mike McGlinchey also got a bag from the Denver Broncos a few years ago. Here's a nice little photo of Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw dapping each other up prior to this joint practice. Greenlaw is dealing with a quad injury right now, so he did not participate today. And to really set the foundation for a lot of what we're going to talk about here today with our joint practice reaction is this Broncos defense going up against this Niners offense, which is looking to flush a down year in 2024 and get back to being one of the standard best offenses in the NFL in 2025. Not an easy test for this Niners offense going up against Denver. Their defensive coordinator is Vance Joseph. They have an excellent secondary. They have a front four that can really get after it. They're very sound at the linebacker position as well. And a big reason why Denver was able to make it to the postseason last year, outside of Bo Nix playing very well as a rookie, defensively they were stellar. They gave up 19 points per game, number 3 in the NFL. They surrendered 325.7 yards per game. That was also top 10, number 9 among the 32 teams in the league. 0.29 points per play. That was number 1 in the NFL. So analytically, they were also elite. 5 yards per play. That ranked number 3. And once teams got inside the red zone, inside the 20, they couldn't punch it in and score touchdowns. A 44.4 red zone scoring percentage. That was the best mark among all defenses in the NFL last year. And so for this Niners offense, which has some injuries, has some new parts, has question marks at the wide receiver position. It was a really fine test for this Niners offense this early with about a month to go until the regular season gets underway. And some really positive developments coming out of this joint practice. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, first-round pick from last year, continues to have a great training camp. In one-on-ones, he was going up against Pat Surtain, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Surtain got him on the first rep with a nice pass breakup. Then Pearsall won each rep after that. He is having a training camp here in 2025, very similar to how Brandon Ayuk had stellar training camps in 2022 and in 2023 when he was by far the best player on the field. Ricky Pearsall has a very intriguing game. Good footwork, short area wiggle, burst, and explosiveness that allows him to beat man coverage and press man. He's a very good route runner, plays bigger than his size, has 4.4 speed. You can use him as a gadget guy, end arounds, bubble screens, reverses. You can use him out of the slot. You can use him as an X out wide. You can use him on crossers and deep crossers. He's had a lot of success with that route throughout training camp to pick up yards after the catch. At times, though, he can also take the top off of the defense. He was really doing it all against Denver here today, and this Niners offense started slow against this Broncos defense, then ended fast. More on that here in just a moment. Rookie wide receiver Jordan Watkins, fourth-round pick out of Ole Miss, 4.3 speed. The only wide receiver in college football last year to have 5 catches of 60-plus yards, was also excellent in one-on-ones. He beat Joshua Pickett on a deep ball where Pickett stumbled, and Watkins displayed that 4.3 speed. In team drills, Watkins was also very promising and impressive. Brock Purdy did throw a couple of interceptions early, but Brock Purdy has never been a great practice player. He tries things out in practices to see what he can and can't do during games. So I don't hit the panic button with these Purdy training camp interceptions because he did do some good things today and delivered some nice footballs. The Niners offense got blanked in the first red zone period. Then in the second red zone period, they started to get it together. One of the constants throughout the joint practice today was that Christian McCaffrey gave that Broncos defense a lot of fits. This is huge for San Francisco when you factor in how important Christian McCaffrey is to this Niners offense in 2025. He has transformed and added a completely different dimension to this Niners offense since he was traded for in 2022, but obviously last year only played those 4 games and had the bilateral Achilles tendonitis, had a knee issue, but he looks to be back to the old Christian McCaffrey form, and as a ball carrier, as a receiver, out of the backfield, out of the slot, as a dynamic weapon, he's one of the most elusive players in all of football. This is a very positive sign here throughout training camp. A quick reminder before we continue to push forward on today's show. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More than 400 people watching live here on the Niners Report. If you're new to the program, my name is Chase Sr., and anytime I'm in front of a camera, on a microphone, I want our Niners content to be informative, insightful, entertaining, thought-provoking. I want you to have a voice. And shout out to all of the legends and real ones who just got us past 164,000 subscribers. Now, I love talking football here on this show, but I do have some hobbies outside of talking about football, like woodworking and doing some dirty, difficult jobs. You know what's the worst, though? When long days become longer and harder days become harder. You can make your blue-collar, hard-working days a lot easier with Brunt work boots. Get $10 off your order by using the code SHAT. Look at these full-screen images. These boots are absolutely sensational, and they're comfortable, they're durable, and they are perfect for the hard-working men and women out there. Regardless of what you're doing, woodworking, putting down a deck, working in some oil fields, Brunt's best-selling Marin work boots, not only built for the toughest job sites, they're completely waterproof. Whether it's rain, mud, or standing water, your feet stay dry. From oily workshop floors to muddy farm fields and everywhere in between, the Marin 6-inch soft toe is built for workers across a variety of trades. But Brunt, not just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear for tough jobs. From heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. We all work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So Brunt built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use the code CHAT at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com/chat, use that code CHAT, and you're good to go. After you make your order, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Well, do us a favor. You know what I want you to do right now? I want you to tell them that Chase Senior, the 49ers Report, and Chat Sports sent you. Give your feet a breather with Brunt today and get $10 off by using that code CHAT. Going to put that link down below in the comment section, in the show notes, attached to the pinned comment of today's San Francisco 49ers Report, Brunt Workwear. These boots are absolutely awesome, and you will not regret that purchase. Give your feet a breather with Brunt today. Hop on board. Join the movement. Now, George Kittle is a guy who probably wears Brunt work boots because he likes to get it out of the mud. He likes to get grimy and get after it. And so far throughout training camp, him and Brock Purdy have had an awesome connection brewing. George Kittle had a nice sideline grab with Patrick Surtain in coverage. Again, that's arguably the best cornerback in all of football. In the second red zone period, after the Niners got blanked in the first red zone period, Brock Purdy started to get humming. He found Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Watkins for 7-yard touchdowns. Now, the protection was a little bit iffy throughout the day, and you can't tackle quarterbacks to the ground, but also keep in mind that Purdy is very mobile and athletic in the pocket. Then a little bit later, Purdy able to hit Pearsall in the move the ball period with an excellent pass downfield. 30 yards on a dime, on a rope, contested coverage by Jahdae Barron, who was one of the top corners in this 2025 draft class out of Texas. For Pearsall today to beat the likes of Pat Surtain, to beat Jahdae Barron, those are really nice wins for the second-year wide receiver. We do have some bad news, though, on the injury front for San Francisco. Mykel Williams, first-round pick, did get hurt in red zone drills. He grabbed his knee immediately, and then he had to walk off the field with trainers. But according to head coach Kyle Shanahan, Mykel Williams had a good exam, hopefully just hyperextended his knee. He's going to get further examination, but it looked good. As for Jordan James, this news just coming in, going to have surgery on his broken finger. He's going to be out for a few weeks, according to Shanahan. That stinks because without Isaac Guerendo, he was going to get some good looks and good carries throughout the preseason. No longer going to be the case for him. Both Marquise Siegel, Darrell Luter Jr. evaluated for concussions. They have been clear. That's some of the injury news that's coming in here. Now back to this Niners-Broncos joint practice session. The offensive overview for today, not Purdy's sharpest day. He did deliver some good throws downfield. The Niners also had some offensive line struggles against Denver's front, but this is also important to relay as well. Trent Williams did not practice at that left tackle spot. It was Spencer Burford who did. And I just don't know if Spencer Burford is an NFL caliber tackle. The Niners drafted him out of UTSA as a guard. He did play a little bit of tackle at the college level, but I think he's a little bit too slow to play offensive tackle at the NFL level. Shanahan on Purdy's performance today against the Broncos. I thought Brock had a real good day. I never know for sure until I watch the tape, but I put him in a lot of challenging positions, and I thought he handled most of them well. Kyle Shanahan on the plan for Niners starters on Saturday for the preseason opener against the Broncos. Won't play a ton of them. Doesn't mean we'll rest all 22, but don't expect to see a lot of them out there. Mykel Williams was going to play, but might be out a couple of days or a week after that hyperextended knee. Shanahan on Russell Gage, back to being a really good NFL player right now after a knee injury. That almost caused Russell Gage to retire after 2 straight 750-plus yard receiving seasons for the Atlanta Falcons. Hasn't played since he got hurt when Tom Brady was the quarterback for the Bucs and he suffered that knee injury, but he has been one of the stars of training camp. Elsewhere, the Niners really did finish the practice session very well. And let me just take a look at some of my notes here. Nick Bosa, he returned to practice today. He gave tackles Garrett Bowles, Mike McGlinchey fits during the move the ball period. Had a few sacks and quarterback pressures on the day. And then I'm looking for how Purdy ended this practice, because in the move the ball period, San Francisco fared very well. Basically, to summarize everything, it was the Broncos defense who got the win first against this Niners offense. Then after that, Niners offense regrouped a little bit. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, Jordan Watkins, able to make some good plays. And again, that highlight of the day, to kind of dot the exclamation point, a long touchdown pass from Purdy to Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall, again, beating the likes of Jahdae Barron and Pat Surtain. He continues to have a dominant training camp. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. Daily Niners news, reactions, analysis. Anytime there's breaking news, a big report out there, we talk all things Niners every single day here on this show. So don't forget to lock us in.